In this episode of Broker Breakdown, we're talking to Rett Harmon, CEO of Century 21 Novus Realty. Rett uses video in a hyper-local way by creating community-based content that speaks to the area that he serves. He calls himself the community connector, and his strategy of creating local business-related content has opened doors and grown his company in a massive way. Too often, we can feel a lot like our content needs to cast a wide net and work for any kind of audience. But in real estate, when most of your clients come from the local area, that's actually not the right approach. If you're interested in a simple and reliable video strategy, it will not only help you grow your business, but also support the local businesses in your community. Check out this episode because we go into just that and a whole lot more. Hey Rett, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks a lot, Nick. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it. So I want to start out with something that you've said to me before that I think is an interesting take here, and it's the fact that while you are always striving to be the community expert, you never really say that you are the community expert. I do think a lot of agents, they say that all the time, right? So why do you have a different take on that?
Well, we chose the name Century 21 Novus, new and exceptional. And I think if you're trying to be new and exceptional, you're always trying to become something better. I think once we think we've gotten there, maybe we get lax. I think we always have to kind of constantly be working to get better. Is kind of my mantra with it. So, we embraced video very early as a brokerage, and what we were trying to do is basically go around and highlight the local community. How can we do something different and better? And by interviewing people, especially business owners, community happenings, things like that, I think it really shows off, like, why is it great to live and work in our community? Because we got to sell our community first. And by doing that, we're able to really connect a lot of people. And then plus, it's amazing how much you learn about. You think you know a lot about a smaller town, but then you realize how many unique things that are going on a regular basis you had no idea. So that trying to become is one of those things. I want to go dig deeper and deeper and deeper and find as many unique stories we can share and have fun while doing it.
Yeah, and I love that attitude because I think, that's a great point, right? Is that if you're always seeing yourself as trying to learn more and more about the community and work in the direction of being the eventual expert and just never quite getting there, it keeps the curiosity going, right? I mean, it keeps you engaged. You're always looking for new opportunities. You're probably going to do a better interview with the local business owners because you're sort of seeking it from that sense of curiosity. So that's great. So give me some examples here, right? Because I think it's really helpful to see sort of concrete examples of, okay, I want to make a community video. Like, what does that look like? So let's go about it this way. Give me just a couple of the types of businesses or events, or what are you filming here? What are you putting on in your videos?
Sure. So I kind of use the little tagline community connector a lot of times too. Just because I think in real estate, we're always trying to connect people. We sell someone a home, right? And let's just say they're not from the area. Like, well, they call the real estate agent back a lot of times. Hey, Rett, who do I go to get my car worked on? Where do I go for the dentist? Where do I go to get my dry cleaning? Who do you use for whatever? And that's one of the things I kind of started thinking about. We get asked the same things a lot of times. Well, I have the certain places I go. Just gonna knock on the door. We started off, I hired a full-time video content creator, James Paul of Schiller Productions. He's been on several videos with me. We have a podcast together called Random to Real Estate. But what we do is we go around and just knock on the door, walk in, and say, hey, we want to do a video about your business. Why do you do what you do, and what does this look like? And that was the first 3 or 4 years. We really never made an appointment. We just kind of stopped by people's office, place of business, and then got talking to them more and more. And then sometimes we'd end up with a 30-second commercial, and sometimes it was a 5 or 6 minute video that really went deep about what they do. And it's really interesting because a lot of times they thought that, we need to get the younger person that sits up front that's maybe more attractive than what they think they are, or whatever it is. And I was like, no, people want to know why you do this, and you're the owner of the business. You started this 20 years ago, 30 years ago. What's your reason? Why do you get out of bed and do this every day? And once they finally start opening up and talking, it's a really neat thing. They dig deeper, and a lot of times just bring awareness to their business. A lot of times people think they have to go outside of an area for something, only to realize, like, wow, there's someone right down the road that does this, and I'm actually looking for that service. So that's kind of what it is. It's anywhere and everywhere. It's everything. And sometimes it's nothing. It's just sharing someone's story.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I love that. I love the idea of basically you're sort of just making commercials for local businesses, right? And you're building a relationship with them. You're building an audience. They're sharing the stuff with their audience. And I'll be honest, like several years ago when this sort of concept was emerging and a few people were piloting. Obviously, you were one of the pioneers there. I really thought it would become common. I sort of figured, hey, 3 or 4 years from now, like if you're a local small business, you're going to be annoyed because all these agents or all these insurance agents or whatever, they're going to be reaching out and trying to do this stuff. And it hasn't happened, right? I mean, there's very few people still using this as a tool, right? What do you think?
Yes.
Do you think it's going to get there? You think it's going to catch on? Or do you think you have an advantage for years to come doing this?
There's still a lot of opportunity. I'll put it that way. So we've grown our business from having basically my business partner, Curtis North. We started a brokerage 8 years ago, and 2 other agents that joined us. Of course, in our property management department, now we've got about 54 agents. And we hire James one day a month and have every month since we've been in business. And it's so funny, the days that I have video day scheduled, people don't tend to be around the office as much sometimes. It's kind of weird. It's like they kind of run from it. Like, I'm not doing video. I don't want to do it. And then a few agents will do it occasionally, but I kind of had to take that role on to realize that I'm just going to have to be the one to do this. But the opportunity is huge. But a lot of people are still fearful of the camera, and I don't really know why, but it's just not their thing. So, but it works, and you just have to be consistent in what you're doing. But like I said, a lot of stories to tell, and a lot of things that you can do to help people out. It's amazing too how we'll get requests to do videos on stuff now, which is kind of neat, and other opportunities. So. I'll give the short version of this, and we had a request from a friend to do a video about a local gym. We interviewed one of the gyms on the other side of town with the county. This was the city gym, so sure, we'll do it. So, well, actually, I want you to interview somebody else when you're here. Told me a little about the story we got there. Well, this young man was working there. He was attending the University of West Georgia, and he needed a kidney. Like, he'd been on dialysis for years, and he just needed to tell his story better. So, we did an interview with him, talked about what it means, or how do you go about getting a kidney or getting tested, see if you're a possible donor of a kidney. He's obviously on a list waiting for someone to unfortunately pass to get one or have someone donate one. So we did the video. James did a live on his personal audience and everything. I did one to my personal audience and business audience. And we also then delivered that video to his mom to be able to put out there on YouTube wherever she wanted, Facebook, whatever that platform was. But the crazy thing about it is I don't know who shared it or how it came about from the hundreds of shares that it got. But he found a kidney. Someone saw it actually, and it worked out that it was kind of neat that person just knew they were matched when it got checked, and the transplant happened a couple of years ago. And we were able to interview him again after that, kind of get a chance to keep up with him, which is kind of neat. So you just never know the level or the power of our influence, and sometimes just a simple share. And it could have been someone that probably may have viewed themselves as very insignificant in what they do, or the amount of followers they have, or whatever it is. Maybe their participation with social media, but the fact that people shared it because it was a good story, but it was also trying to help someone else. That may have been the one that had it show up in the feed of somebody else, and it's just you just never know how all that connects together. So that's kind of part of being a community connector as well, is finding a need and just being compelled to tell the story.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show, you never know, like you said, you don't know the influence that you have, and I think a lot of people, we too often obsess over the numbers. How many people saw this, or how many people have following me, and that's not what it matters. Nine times out of 10, what matters is it the right person or not, right?
Right. We come from a place, I try to say we come from a place of abundance. There's plenty of business for everyone to have. They're willing to go out there and work for it. But, we also come from a society and age of instant gratification. Do I get this from this, or what's your return on investment? I'll never forget doing video early on, like, people, they make fun of us. Like, who's this guy think he is walking around with a video guy, walking into places? And I even have a few folks kind of use it against me, competitors. Oh, this guy's not selling real estate anymore. He's just making videos all the time. Well, I realize, we're selling more real estate than we ever sold. But, it was kind of an interesting, concept of how that works. But if you just, put forth the effort, keep doing it, and eventually it kind of pays off. But, what's the cost of this? So I'll tell you, I've probably bought several nice sports cars for what I've spent on just online advertising over the last, since 2007 when I started advertising with social media. But at the end of the day, what have I been able to make off that? Well, we've been able to build a really successful business, and we've been able to help a lot of clients obtain a lot of things. We helped a guy get a kidney. How do you put a price on that? So, but more importantly, it's just that consistency of doing it and having fun while it's there, and coming from a sincere place. We don't try to do it to get likes or or comments. Obviously, we want to have unique, valuable content, which I guess that's the reason why we want to have people like what we do and what we put out there, so that we have a consistent, audience following that likes what we do. But more importantly, just the effort in doing that kind of stuff, it comes over time. It's kind of like, you don't wake up one day and just run a marathon. Most people don't. You start off slow, and it's, I always tell you, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You have to take time and go through all the different steps of that to get to the level you want to go to. But so many people give up right before it happened. I failed in videos several times before we finally made the commitment to do it. And if it weren't for hiring someone and being obligated every month to that, I wouldn't have gotten as far with it as I have. And I still have a long way to go.
We all do, right? I mean, that's the thing. I think the more of this stuff you do, it's sort of the more you realize you could improve on, or the more opportunities you start to recognize. And I think a lot of folks, because they have never started, their idea of what this stuff is extremely limited. At least that's what I've sort of seen. It
is, and I'll ask you this question too. Maybe it'd be valuable for the audience. People make the comment about, I don't like the way I sound when I do video or whatever. It's kind of funny. I guess I realized this within the last maybe 6 months to a year. I'm going to say somewhere between 800 and 1,200 professional videos that we've put out over the time. I don't sound different anymore. When I hear myself on video, it sounds the same as my voice does. I don't know if that's just doing it over a certain amount of time, or that 10,000 hour rule comes into play, or whatever it is. But I don't know if you experience something similar, but I don't notice that anymore.
Yeah, well, and there's an interesting scientific reason for it, which I love talking about, which, it's actually, seeing ourselves and hearing ourselves, we as individuals have those experiences completely different than anybody else does. Right. So when we talk, our voices vibrate the bones in our head, and so the bones vibrating actually creates a lower tone underneath the actual tone of your voice. So inside of your own head, you hear that additional lower, deeper register. And so because of that, automatically, anytime you hear a recording of your voice, it doesn't have that lower component. And so it automatically sounds weird, right? It's really high and it sounds tinny and all that kind of stuff, right? And it's same experience for me. It's it was just a matter of time, right? So the example people used to always have is when I record my voicemail greeting, right? And then I listen back to it and I'm like, oh, I hate my sound of my voice. That was before everybody was maybe doing videos, right? But it's funny because I was listening to my voicemail greeting the other day, and that didn't happen this time, and I hadn't listened to it in 5 years, because who checks voicemail anymore, right? Sure. But it's the repetition. Yeah, it's just the fact that I'd done enough and heard, and watched enough of my own content, which can always be kind of awkward, but you get used to hearing it, and then you get past it, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. I always tell people, I like video kind of about I like an alarm clock. I really don't like to keep waking up by an alarm clock. But if I didn't set the alarm clock, I might sleep until 10 a.m. or noon or whatever time. I set the alarm clock, I get up at the time I want to, and then I'm able to be productive throughout the day. I schedule the video, actually make the video happen, get it out there, and then I get results from that over time, right? So it's just about being intentional and just realizing, it's just part of it. I think it's one of those things we just kind of are obligated to have to do in some capacity.
Yeah, and that's great, right? I mean, I think that there are some people that I think really enjoy making videos, but I think for most of us, there's still a component of, a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of, stress going into it, worrying about the quality and everything else. And, but like you said, it's like the workout example, I use that analogy a lot too. It's you just got to keep showing up and doing it, and you got to have faith at the beginning, because the first day you go into the gym, you're not going to walk out jacked, you're going to have to come back probably a couple hundred times to get to any sort of significant improvement in your appearance. But once you do, you've got that, right? And then you just kind of continue doing it. And it's sort of a momentum thing, and you just starts to snowball, and it starts to build on itself. And you start out some of your examples. I mean, you start out just trying to make some videos about the community and thinking, hey, maybe a few hundred people will see this and they'll appreciate it, and I'll be known by them a little bit more. A couple of years later, you've got people reaching out to you with opportunities and, hey, come partner with us on this thing, and all kinds of cool stuff. I know you've seen that. I've seen it. We're big promoters of video, obviously.
Yeah, come be the MC for this, or be, we have a local half marathon coming up that for the Greenbelt runs all around our city. And, I got an opportunity to be the MC for that, coming up in September. So that's pretty big deal, bringing a lot of people from a lot of places. very early morning, obviously, but it'll be fun. And, that's just kind of one of those because I'm always putting myself out there. But, the on the crazy side of it is I really can't go to a whole lot of places in public without people at least kind of knowing who I am. And that sounds weird and it sounds conceited a little bit to even say that, but it's just because I have spent so much time and effort putting stuff out there and paying for it to be in front of the same audience that it works. And, so I always kind of really be aware of my surroundings and stuff like that. Who's listening to your conversation that may know you, but you might not know them. So, but that's okay as well too, because my goal is to let people know that I sell real estate. I don't have to be their number one choice for who they want to use. I want them to use the person they want to use. Like I said, there's enough work for everybody, but if it reaches a time that they need to make a change or something else, at least I want them to be able to think of our company and one of our agents or myself or whatever, however that comes together.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I think a lot of people, that's the challenge, is that they see video in such a limited capacity. And you're talking about examples of people, oh, he's making videos, not selling real estate. And just that to me is hilarious. I've heard that from other people too.
That was years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly, right? And it's like now it'd be fun to go back and find those people and compare your business to theirs, 5 years later, and kind of see who grew the most in that time, like who actually had the marketing part of this figured out or not. But I think that's, a lot of people, that's the problem, right? Is that they only see the very tip of the iceberg, so to speak, when it comes to, because we're talking about video, but really it's just whatever the most effective form of content is in the day and age you live in, right? 10 years, 15 years ago, maybe it was blogging, or it was the early days of social media where there was a lot of opportunity. And, now videos become super accessible, and maybe another 10 years it'll be virtual reality or something. Who knows, right? Right. But I want to, so I want to come back just a few steps here to talking about being this community connector, right? Because I think that video is extremely effective at becoming the community connector. But not only that, because I think a lot of people see that and they're like, but only certain agents are going to do that, and I don't need to. I'm a relationships person, or I do all business by referral, that kind of stuff.
That's a community connector right there.
Right. Yeah. So exactly, right. So that's what I'm getting at is that the way I see this is, especially as the iBuyers start to emerge and we start to have all these different business models kind of emerging in real estate. It seems to me, and I'm not an agent, so you may correct me if I'm wrong, but it sort of seems like that community connector part of the job is becoming more and more and more important, right? Because, it's not just about the transaction anymore, especially if I can go to a website and sell my house to that website, and that becomes common across the country. Agents are going to have something that distinguishes them and that really makes it clear that they provide a different kind of value. So, what's your take on that, just sort of conceptually speaking? Do you think that we're going to see more of this kind of marketing and this sort of angle becoming important, or do you think there still will be a lot of agents that don't have to be concerned about that approach? You know what I mean?
There's probably room in all facets for some to be successful, right? Different people find out where they fit in the best with it, but it works for me being able to do that. And when I view community connector and just a connector in general, like, all right, someone calls and said, hey, Rett, who do you use to go to the dentist? Well, I could pick 3 names of dentists that are in the area and say, there's this one, there's this one, there's this one. Won't you call all 3 and figure out which one you like the best? Is that really a referral? Is that really making a connection? That's going to Angie's List or whatever, or I guess that'd be more for construction. Or that's just doing a Google search and finding the top 3 ad spots, or maybe they're not even on there, maybe it's different ones. But when I say, I use this dentist and I like what they do, and give them a shot. This is where they're located. And if that doesn't work, I've got some others I can tell you about. I think we get into that a lot of times inside of the industry, like, oh, you should give out 3 mortgage people's names because, we shouldn't just refer one scenario. No, just a referral is a referral. I don't care how it works. Give someone a recommendation and have a little bit of substance behind, giving that recommendation. I've used this person before for a mortgage. They did a great job for me. However, if that's not a good fit or you're not able to get connected with them, I can give you a list of a dozen more. But I think that if you can connect people right together, and a lot of times it even comes down to inter-industry and also just other industry, like, this person's looking for this. Well, I know somebody that does that kind of work, and a lot of times I'll tell them about it. More importantly, I'll reach back out to that person that does that kind of work. Hey, I just sent you this person. They're new to town. They're interested. They might be a good connection for you. And also, I think they had a similar hobby that you did also. Or what if there's another connection I can make also? And I think if nothing else, the person that that asked me about it, obviously I gave them some valuable information about giving them a name, right? but also try to reach back out to the person that maybe does that type of work and let them know I'm sending them someone, so that to be expecting their call. One, I think maybe they'll give that person a little bit more attention because they know that they're calling them. But two, at least they know that I thought about them for stuff. So instead of asking them for, hey, would you send someone that has a need of buying and selling? I don't have to ask that. They know that I thought about them, and it's almost implied that, like, they're going to ask, well, how's the market? How you doing, man? We've been really busy. It's been great. We've been doing this and whatever it is. Always having a positive answer there, but it kind of comes back. So when you're constantly trying to connect other people together, you're doing that follow up so people don't forget who you are. You add that with they're seeing you out in the community doing things that are positive. They're seeing you on the video that you're putting out or the ads you're doing. It's that kind of in your face, but not in a bad way. It's more of a casual, positive way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense, right? Because you'd rather know and follow and be connected to somebody who's known for being a connector in the community rather than just a self-promoting real estate agent, right? I mean, you're obviously going to attract a lot more people that way.
Pay it forward, and that's kind of where we doing the videos for a lot of these companies. It worked out really well because a lot of them have never done a video, and like now they're out there. And if it's evergreen content, means that you can find it. You know what that means, obviously, but years down the road is still relevant. That's a really neat thing to be able to say that, hey, we did a video for this company and they actually got business because of it,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so I want to kind of take that a step further because you've used video. So I mean, this is what's interesting is the more I talk to people that are very proactively making video, and especially the ones that work with a videographer, is you start to realize that your relationship with the videographer and your ability to produce a decent video becomes a tool in of itself. Right now, it's something I can. You've given us the example of talking to local businesses and doing something for them, but you've also done a lot with the high school, if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to this stuff. So tell us about that, because I think that's a great example of a way to utilize sort of different skill sets and opportunities with video in ways that people may not think about.
Sure. So we've done some highlight videos for the local schools, for the city, county, whatever's there. People want to know about what the schools have to offer. And this is actually going on I say right this minute. I mean, this week, and there's one happening today. One's going to happen on Friday. But the local high school got a new, I guess you call it a jumbotron, a screen, to go behind, out there around the track, in the end zone with the scoreboard, to be able to use as an advertising component to show kind of what's going on. So the principal's friend of mine reached out and said, hey, I know we're going to be selling these. Obviously, we're already an athletic supporter. I always joke about that. We're part of the booster club, whatever. We give them money each year. But we also, it's one thing to write someone a check, but when you can do something that kind of helps their cause better, that's far more valuable a lot of times than just writing a check to it. But I kind of talked to them about how we might could price it, or they could price it, and gave them some ideas about how to do it. We kind of settled on a 15-second commercial ought to be good, and just do different durations of what's there. And ultimately, they made the decision on what they wanted to do. And I said, but let me know how we can help you. If you need some help with some of the commercials or whatever. And he reached back out, hey, we've sold this many ads. Can you do these commercials for these businesses? Absolutely. So Andy, which is a video guy on staff, he does marketing, and he's actually a licensed realtor, but answered basically an ad for a licensed person in a non-sales position, because that's somebody I wanted to be able to teach video to and editing, which I don't really know how to do it, but I knew how to connect them with the right tools and resources to learn how to do YouTube better, and some of these other platforms we didn't embrace as well early on, and keeping our content fresh and putting back out in those places, and also being able to edit more than just having James I could do once a month. So that worked out well, and Andy was able to go, and I went on one or two of the shoots with him, but able to go and kind of produce. One was for a funeral home, and one's for actually another real estate agent in our market. Another one's going to be for a tractor dealership, and another one is for I can't even a roofing company, I believe. So and doing these little 15-second commercials for them, and then send them back over. Huge. They didn't have to hire somebody to do it. We were able to do that, and then in turn we did some borrowing. They're obviously we have videos anyway. They'll send them one of ours, and we'll get played once or twice with our video. So. Just a matter of kind of working through some of that, but this is the first year of doing it and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. We're able to kind of test this, and it's not costing the school any more money. That money can go back into the athletic programs that it needs to go into to better the students and their quality of playing sports while they're in school, or whatever the school uses the money for is what's there. So either way, and that worked out. And then one other small example I'll use too. My son, my daughter's a cheerleader for the high school. I got one in ninth, one in eighth, and then or so one in seventh and one in fifth, so one in each of the schools. Last year, my son played football. He's mainly just focusing on the fishing team right now. My daughter was a cheerleader. They're both in middle school, and out there the first time, like, what he had one number as a practice jersey. They got new jerseys for the first game. What number is he, and who's that kid? Right. Is that your kid? What number? And it was just like, man, I need to get like a list of this. And I kind of made it on the spot. I went to the coach right after the game and said, let me make a program for you. There won't be any cost to it. Let me make a program. I'll even sell ads in. He said, that's great, but I don't want to sell ads yet because it's kind of the season already started at that point. I was like, well, right. I tell you what, if you let me do the program this year, you let me do it again next year. No charge to y'all for doing it, and I'll turn it into a fundraiser for you. So we did it, and it was purely out of selfish for me because I want to know what number my kid was and everybody else's. So you kind of flip through and kind of show you got the different ones, and obviously we put the put the cheerleaders in as well, and utilizing talent and resources from my team. Sarah, that's part of the team, used to work for the newspaper. She used to do the little senior portraits and knew how to lay things like this out. Andy, obviously we have some nice cameras and stuff, able to take the photos of all the kids, and then Karen, the whole team, being able to kind of help organize who's who, and get there's a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade team. So we did all this, put it all together, printed 500 of these. The parents brought them to every single game. We didn't sell ads on it, but obviously since I didn't charge anything, we had it professionally printed. I mean, I spent some money on this, but we did our ad on the back, and more importantly, we wanted to thank the coaches in there. And then a couple of people asked me, well, let me help pay for that. Let me help pay for that. I said, no, we're just doing this, but I tell you what you can do. You can donate towards this. The school had a need for an ice machine, so we put this in there and said, we need your help. We need this ice machine. And actually had one of the parents, their company, because it was a tangible thing, they realized, like, if I write a check for $3,500 to the company that for this ice cream, I can write it off as a piece of equipment for my business. But more importantly, I can give it to the school, and I'm not worried about it. I gave them money to go buy something that they really need or not need. I know what my money went for, and I know that's going to last for multiple years. And also, you didn't even have kids that play football. I have kids that played like soccer and cross country. They also benefited from this too because it worked for multiple sports. So sometimes you just have to put things out there. But so doing that was a lot more of an impact. But when I said they kept these, so everybody that walked around with it got the chance to know who I was. Even kids on that team, there were several other realtors that had kids on the team. They carried these around just as much. It was useful. It added value. And that's one of the things it's all about is finding little things you can do. What's already going on that you can make better. Right. I have to be in front of a camera to do any of this? No, I've just used the picture we used from a profile picture. Did we provide value? Yes. Did I turn around and help the school out in a much bigger way? Yes. Did people know that I sell real estate there? Yes. Did I ask them to buy or sell any houses? No. Have I sold people houses because of this? Yes.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, and I think to me the takeaway is for anybody watching this that has, if you're a broker, team leader, somebody's got a couple marketing people available, and in my experience, that's often the kind of thing where there's going to be some downtime somewhere. There's going to be a week or two somewhere where you don't have quite enough for them to do. There you go. Find some opportunities to partner with local schools, local businesses. Put your expertise to use on the behalf of nonprofits and other organizations. And think about all the. That's a great example of it, right? You can build relationships and influence in all kinds of areas.
Sure. And one thing I'll throw out there, I wear a lot of hats. I do own 50% of the brokerage. I run a sales team, and we have property management. So when we opened the brokerage, we kind of had to because we had property management. We had outgrown the space and the company we were with. But the place that we wanted to work didn't exist in our market. But I love to sell. Like I really enjoy it. That's fun for me. I like being with people, and being a broker is something that I never want to be. I take pride in not having a broker's license, and I want to retire out of real estate without having one. Very happy that Sandy's our managing broker that's non-competing. We pay her. She'll always have a job because I don't. That's not something that I want to take on and do. Obviously, I share the responsibilities, but I don't. This is not what's fun for me. But I did wearing different hats. The videos that we do for the community, I'm wearing my owner hat for the brokerage. I'm trying to promote Century 21 Novus as what we're doing there, even though I'm kind of the spokesperson for that. But I'm trying to promote that. I want it something that all of our agents can share out and have pieces of valuable content to put out on social media. If there's agents that have a business recommendation, they can be the one to introduce whoever it is. That's open. That's one of the things we kind of do for them. And if they want to do a little video about themselves, sure, you can do one of those too while we have our 1 day a month video day. But then when I do stuff like this, I'm utilizing my staff for my sales team. I'm advertising Retro Group. So that's kind of so you have to kind of pick and choose your hat that you're wearing at the time, and you could argue that some of it overlaps and it's a little bit different. But at the end of the day, I think when you come from a genuine place and how you're trying to be helpful, I think that's the importance for what we're doing.
Love it. That's great.
Yep.
Well, we are running low on time here, so I do want to get to the wrapping up section. But
Sure.
this has been great, right? I mean, this to me, one of the things I love the most about these conversations is getting case studies, right? Like actual actionable step-by-step type of things you can do, which we got multiple of from you today. So, first of all, thank you so much for sharing those with us.
Oh, you're very welcome, Nick. Thank you.
Yeah, and so before we wrap up, I do want to give you a chance. There's probably some agents, some people watching this that maybe want to follow up with you, or might want to sign up with the brokerage, liking how you. If I was an agent, I heard, hey, I can get some free videos made, or I can work with a videographer once a month. Like that would sound exciting to me. I know I'm a little bit different than most people, maybe, but so if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how should they go about doing it?
Man, a couple of things, and I'll throw this out there. If something I had brought you value, right behind me, Random to Real Estate, follow us on YouTube. I would really appreciate the follow there.
Okay.
We put out a lot of stuff, and I tell you, it's an opportunity to R&D, rip off and duplicate. Find an idea that we did and do it in your community. Make it better. If you're in my community, take the same place that we interviewed and interview them in a different way. It's fine. Like there's plenty of opportunities. Right. We do have a podcast called Random to Real Estate, but you can just look up Century 21 Novus and Rett Harmon. It's RettHarmon. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere. Send me a direct message. I'll throw my cell phone out there if you want to text me. I'm happy to help. 678-520-6381. Pretty transparent. I stay busy a lot, but if you want to schedule a 15-minute, half-hour phone call, happy to do so. And I always learn something from everybody I talk to. Sometimes I learn what not to do, but I learn something from every conversation. And I think I kind of come from you get what you give, and if you give a little bit of time up front, you never know what opportunities might come your way later down the road. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. And like I said, just have fun doing it. You may have seen me in some of these crazy suits back behind me. That's just kind of one of those little fun things to do to stay memorable, and that we utilize in some of our quarterly marketing stuff that we use to stay in front of our clients. So lots of fun ideas, and love to share those as they come about.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we appreciate that. For those of you tuning in, obviously take advantage of that if you do want an opportunity to get in touch with Rett. And thanks for watching today. We appreciate you being with us. This has been another episode of Broker Breakdown. We hope to see you again on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.